Hello, amazing writers, students, and scholars. Today I wanted to give you another resource, and that is a very quick walkthrough of how you would create an APA citation for a journal article, like the journal articles you're going to find in the CTU library in Unit 3. I want to stress that APA is not something that you are going to memorize or perfect just now. Our goal is to really incorporate APA into our thought process, to understand why citations and referencing are so important, and to invest in that process so that we can ensure that we are giving credit where credit is due, that we are respecting the voices, the giants who have empowered us to learn and grow, and so that we can build strong, relevant, credible arguments and raise our voices for the world to hear. Now, the first thing I wanted to let you know about are the resources you have available to you within the library itself. So if you were to click on Research Guides, it would bring you to this screen right here. And if we scroll down, you're going to see our English Library Guide. Now here, you are going to find specific course guides. And the English 105 course guide has some fantastic resources. You have your library research guide here, which is a PDF file put together by Michelle that walks you through how to navigate the library and find articles. You also have a video as well as the TRAP test, which is another way of evaluating source credibility. So make sure you use that. And if you need help with APA citations, we've got a great resource guide within the virtual campus itself. So if you click here, you're going to have a resource that walks you through the ins and outs of APA, everything from why it's important, your writing style guide, a template you can use, your formatting, paraphrasing and quoting. It's all here. You even have a fantastic APA assistant that will help you find exactly what you're looking for depending on the citation you're trying to create. So when it comes to APA, you'll notice that it's not a matter of just doing the citation, memorizing it and doing, but rather finding the information that you need, looking to your outside resources, and then incorporating that into your process. I've been working with APA for more than a decade now, and I still have a process where when it's time to cite something, I look everything up, I plug in the formula, and I go through the process and I triple check. That's simply it. It's that simple. That's how it is. And I'm going to teach you that process today. Now, for your Unit 3, you're going to want to find library sources. As we talked about within our live chat, those library sources are absolutely critical because they're far more credible and reliable than your traditional magazine or newspaper or online sources, which can be very biased and which can also many times get the facts wrong. They're often published immediately, not giving them a lot of time to really think about every possible side or to think about every piece of information. Oftentimes when we're getting a news report on an event, we're getting the story as it's unfolding, which means inevitably some bits and pieces of that information are not going to be accurate or correct. Library sources, while a little bit harder to read, a little bit longer, and a little bit older in terms of their immediate relevance, have taken a great deal of time to go over every possible side of the argument, to conduct experiments, to gather data, and that makes them far more objective and also far more credible. So when we balance the immediacy of news sources with the credibility of scholarly sources, we come up with some really powerful information that you can then build your argument on. So first things first, when you're ready to go find some articles within the library, let's click right here, find articles and ebooks. Now your keywords, and we've talked about this in our live chat, using keywords that are going to really focus your topic. You can enter your keywords right here, or you can pick a database, and the database is just going to focus your search a little bit more for you. For me, I'm really looking at scholarly sources, so I'm going to go to the Academic Search Complete. That's going to be my go-to source. You can pick whatever database you want, or if you just want to see what's out there, enter your keywords right there. It'll take just a moment to load. Perfect. Now, your topic or what you're looking for is we're trying to understand the impact that social media has had specifically on written communications in our professional world. And the more focused you are here, the more meaningful your research and your writing is going to be. So I highly and strongly suggest starting with social media And I really like there'll be these options. I like giving lots of words to help grasp all of the things it could be. So impact or effect or influence or outcome, it gives all that good stuff. And then for your third and final keyword, I want you to think about what interests you the most. It might be a particular field of study. You might be really interested in politics. You might be really interested in the family dynamics or the impact on children. Whatever that is, put that word in here so that you're focusing your research and thus focusing your future essay. If we just look at social media pros and cons, we're going to get everything under the sun. We're going to get millions of results, and you're not going to feel very connected to them because you're not passionate about a million things. You're usually passionate about one or two. Like, for example, me, I'm really passionate about the impact that social media is having on education. So my word here, my next keyword might be education. You might be really interested in politics. Maybe you want to go into a political field of study. So you might do, let's see, you might do politics, right? Or maybe you're really interested in, let's see, maybe you're really interested in family dynamics. You might really want to look at psychology or the impact on children and their brain development, or adolescents or youths or teenagers. Maybe you're really interested in healthcare. So, whatever that happens to be, put it in and let's see what comes up. For me, I'm really passionate about education. So I'm going to put education in here. And I'm going to narrow my search a bit more because social media is something that's evolving so quickly. I want to make sure my sources are relevant. So I'm only going to look for 2010 up to the present day. I don't want anything before that because, again, it's changed so much since then. So let's go ahead and let's conduct our search and see what happens. All right, we've got a lot of sources. Right, wow, that's a lot of sources. So I'm going to narrow it a little bit further. I'm going to look at higher education. Because there's no way I can look through 1,171 sources. So I'm going to narrow it down a little bit more. And that didn't help at all. And this is where really the art of it comes into play, right? This is where the art of it comes into play because you've got to play with things. You've got to see how it works. You have to see what happens. And you've got to adjust your keywords until you're getting the sources that really speak to you. All right. You know what? I'm going to try something here. Teaching practices. Let's see what happens. Oh, now that's perfect. I've got exactly what I want. I've got a good number of sources to look through, and they're already looking really relevant. And what I'll do is I'll just scroll through, and I will look for the sources that speak to me based on the title and the very first few sentences of the abstract. All right, now this sounds really fascinating to me, looking at how technology and social media is creating spaces for literacy education. That's right up my alley. I'm going to click on this and see if it's something I want to look at further. Now, to see if this is something I want to look at further, I can take a look at the title, the author, where it was published. I've got all the information right here that I need to cite it. I can see the subject terms, and I can also read the abstract, which is a brief summary of what the paper is about. And I can see from this if it's something that I want to read further. If it is, I can download the PDF. I can also print it, email it to myself, and save it. I can also add it to my personal folder, which is fantastic. A nice little thing about the library too is it helps you with your citations. You can click this Cite button, and if you scroll down to APA, this is the accurate APA citation for that source. Now, I do not recommend just copying and pasting this because you're not going to learn, right? It's just copy and paste, and then without the library, you'll be lost. But what I do is I try the citation on my own, and then I'll compare it to this and see if I got it right and see what I need to change and learn from that. So that would be my recommendation for this fantastic tool. Now let's say that I decide that I really want to, I've downloaded this PDF, I've read through it, I want to use this source, it's fantastic. The first thing I have to do is look up the formula. I have a journal, an academic scholarly journal, which has a very specific formula. And in fact, if you go to the Writing Support Center and click here on the reference page, you'll be able to find that formula. So let's go back here. So writing references right here. And I'll click on from articles. All right, and this is the formula. And you can use these tabs to focus it a little bit more. So I'm going to copy the formula and I'm going to put it into my Word document. So this is the formula that I need. And then you look at this formula, you see it breaks it down very simply. An APA citation is just who wrote it, when they wrote it, what they wrote, where it was published, and how it was published. That's all it is. So now that I have the formula, I have the basic idea, I have the specific formula for the type of source that I have, I'm going to plug it all in. So what I'll do is I'll go right here. And because the library is fantastic, I've got everything I need right here to cite it. All I need to do is put it together. So go right here. I'm going to move these to the side so that you can see exactly what I'm doing. All right. All right, so the first thing I need is the author's last name, which is right here, and her first initial. The date of publication, it was published in 2015, so I'll do that. I need the title of the article in sentence case. Period. Excellent. And periods separate these different components. So we always use a period to separate who, when, what, where, and how when it comes to a reference citation. And sentence case just means that we write it like it's a sentence. We only capitalize the first letter of the first word or capital nouns. So let's look at our formula. The next thing I need is the title of the journal in title case. And in that instance, we capitalize every word. So it is the Australian Journal of Language and Literacy. We'll write it exactly as they put it here. All right. And we need the volume number. So if we scroll over here, we see we need the volume and issue number. So let's do that. And we'll find that right here. Look, it's all there. Perfect for us. So the volume number is 38. We want to pay close attention to things like italics and so forth. 38, the issue number is 2. We just follow exactly it is. There's a comma right there, so we're going to put a comma right here. Scroll over again. We need to do the page number. So in this case, 83 to 94, just like right there. Okay. And then if it came from print, we're done. But if it came from an internet source, we're going to scroll down and see. If it came from an internet source, there'll be a DOI right here. There is no DOI. All right, perfect. So we are good to go. We can also, since we got it from the online library, we can also include the URL. So for example, we might include retrieved from, and then put the URL right there. And that's it. That's all she wrote. So if we kind of blow this up here, we can see what that actually looks like. Again, we've just followed the formula. Who, when, what, where, how. We have our formula here from our amazing APA Center at CTU. And boom. And we see it here. Who, the author's name, when it was published, what, the title of the article, and then we have where it was published all together, the journal, volume, issue number, and page number, and then how it was published. We've included in this case the URL to the CTU library where we found it. All right, and what this does is it makes it very easy for your reader to see where you got this information from so that they can, of course, know your credibility and genius and expertise. And it also gives credit to this wonderful person who dedicated a substantial portion of her life to finding and putting together this resource for you to use right here and right now. So really, that's APA. It's not so much hard as it is tedious, but once you develop a process and you give into the tedious nature of it, it's all going to come together and make a lot more sense. Writing an APA citation is just like writing an address. Let's say you're mailing a package. You got to make sure it gets to that one house out of the billions in the world. You have to make sure that that address is as accurate as possible. And the same is true for APA. There are billions of articles out there, billions of types of sources of information. We've got to make sure that we give credit to that specific one. So that complexity is something that is necessary to make sure that readers find the exact article that you did and that there's a trail back to it. Fantastic. Now please know that APA is a learning process, and our discussion board in Unit 3 is an opportunity to learn how to do this together. The only mistake you can make, again, is to not try. So let's begin that research journey. Let's explore. Let's see what happens. Let's see what information is out there. Let's focus your topic. Let's build your knowledge, and let's give credit where credit is due. And then we'll take that knowledge, use it as our foundation, and let it give strength to our voice and ideas as we start writing in Unit 4. Thank you all so much. Happy writing, happy APA to you all, and I hope you have an amazing rest of Unit 3. I can't wait to see you in the discussion boards this week.